Mr. White, did you get a chance to see the European Championship of football?
I saw it yesterday in the hallway. I was playing on a TV screen in the hallway. I was walking through a hallway, just a little bit.
Did you hear what these people are singing?
Yes, I know what they're singing, yeah.
It's your song, right?
Yeah.
Seven Nation Army.
Yeah.
How's that like?
Don't tell them it's mine.
How does it make you feel? I mean,
it's good. It feels great. I'm glad that they. I'm glad that it's motivational in that way. It's just a melody, you know. That they're not chanting words; they're chanting a melody. That's pretty impressive. You know, don't see that too often. You see a lot of famous songs get chanted in stadiums in America, around the world, or whatever. But to chant a melody is a whole different thing. It's a different side of folk music. It's very impressive to me. I'd love to go and hear it in person one day.
Are you feeling proud when you hear it?
Yeah, you of course, you know, but it's you don't feel like I'm just part of the process, you know, like that music is already there in the air or whatever. You just kind of help it exist. You just help it exist. You manage it, or you direct it, or you point it to which way it was supposed to go or something. You know, you don't egotistically take the inner, glory, credit for any songs that come out of your studio or out of your presence or whatever. You're just there to help them exist, you know.
You're just there to help them exist? How do you mean? Well,
the songs are sort of already there, you know. You just don't really... Like if someone says, I sat down and I wrote that song and I wrote whatever thing, you know, it's not really true, you know. I mean, you're helping it. The best thing I do that I know to do when I'm writing a song is to stand back and get out of the way. Like, you know, don't tell it to what to do so much. Don't say they're going to have a change here, we're going to make it do this, and it's going to be a country song, it's going to be a rock and roll song. Just let it exist, you know, let it happen, just back off, you know. And the more you back off, the more it exists and the better the song is, really. And so it's harder to take credit for it. The more you back off, it's kind of the end, you know. It's funny.
Do you remember writing Seven Nation Army?
Mm-hmm. It was in a sound check in Australia. And I always think it's funny because Ben Swank, who works at my record label, Third Man Records, he happened to be with us on tour, and he walked by. And I said, come here, what do you think of this riff? And I played him that Seven Nation Army riff, and he goes, it's okay. So we always laugh about that. Because I didn't think it was that great either, even at the time, but it was just, I thought it was interesting enough. I always thought I'd use it for a James Bond song, if they ever wanted a James Bond, if I ever got to write a theme song for James Bond. And by the time we were recording, I said, I crossed out. They'll never let me do that. Of course, a few years later, they did ask me to write a James Bond theme song.
Do you understand it now, why it became a classic?
No, I don't think anybody can understand why any song goes into the pantheon and goes into history, you know, becomes folk music and becomes something people are interested in. Like Leadbelly songs alone, I mean, you take a listen to Leadbelly songs, they should be more famous than they are. They should be chanted in stadiums, you know, some of the melodies are so perfect, you know. There's all kinds of music like that you wonder why they're not more popular, they're not more absorbed. So I don't think there's any way you can really understand it.
Seven Nation Army was with White Stripes, two-person band. Now you're touring with two bands.
Yeah.
You're touring with a boy band and a girl band.
Yes.
Why is that?
You just have to think of ways to shake yourself up. You know, I've always had a chip on my shoulder that I don't want to go and play shows and take people's money and just do the easiest thing I could possibly do, like get all the best people to work for me, make sure the lighting and everything's exactly perfect, everything's rehearsed. We figured out this showbiz thing, the fireworks go off in the encore, and I go home. Like, and I take your money. Like, that's not art, that's not music, that's not performance. I don't know how to do anything more. That'd be the most boring thing I could think of to do. I would rather go there and orchestrate chaos or orchestrate a fake accident or shake things up to make people think that a show didn't even happen or something wrong occurred rather than do everything as easy as that. So it's just a matter of making up ideas that inspire me and inspire the musicians that play with me on stage. And to have two different bands on tour was an idea I tried in the studio when I was making the record, and now it's something that's become very fulfilling on tour that I don't know if I'm going to be able to shake. It's gotten so fulfilling to be able to go out on the road with this many people and have this many people to play with and have no set list and every night have a different kind of a show.
You don't even have a set list?
No, I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, I think the crowd knows when they're seeing a rehearsal, when they're seeing something that's rehearsed. I'd rather them feel like this didn't happen last night and it's not going to happen tomorrow. This is only happening right now.
So every night is a surprise, even to you?
Yes, yeah. I don't know what the next song is going to be. You know, a lot of times I'll walk over to the piano, like I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play something, and I'm going to just turn right around and walk right back and play something else on an acoustic guitar or something. And I know that the crowd can smell that, they can feel that I don't even know what's going to happen next. So of course they're not going to know.
So it's a boy band and a girl band.
Yeah.
Is that a gimmick, or do they play different? I mean,
it's both. I mean, it is a gimmick, but it also has real meaning and real reason behind it. I thought if I took two bands with me, if they're both mixed, boy and girl together, and you came and saw me play, and the next time you came and saw me play, I had a different band with boys and girls up there, you might not know the difference. Was that the same band I saw him with? I don't know. But when they're all girls or all boys, now you immediately know, oh, that was not the same band I saw him play with last night, or last time he was in round or whatever. So there's that. You know, the crowd immediately can sense that. And there's also preconceptions of what females and males can do musically and what we can do together on stage. You know, obviously the White Stripes is just a boy and a girl on stage. There's something electric and sexual and preconception, all kinds of generalizations that a crowd can take from that. Both sides of humanity are sort of represented on stage. They're male and female. You can do with it whatever you want. You can make up whatever you want from that. So I think it's an interesting presentation to the crowd, and to just more for them to think about.
Do the girls have a different sound?
Yeah.
From the boys, yeah?
They do, and it's apples and oranges, you know. I don't really like one better than the other. They both have this great appeal, and they're both so different. And individually, each musician individually has their own sound and their own character. And I was very lucky to have this many people that I've known over the years be able to finally play with them. I've been producing records for Third Man Records for the last 3 years, and that's where I met all these people, from producing different people's 45s.
It's not just touring with two bands. You play in two different bands, Raconteurs and Dead Weather. You have a record label. You produce artists.
Yeah.
I mean, are you so easily bored, or do you have too much energy? What is it?
I guess I don't look at music or art in a way that's very commercially viable, or I don't want to sound pretentious like I'm better than whatever, but I don't look at music that way. I mean, if it doesn't feed me and push me and excite me or piss me off or whatever it is, I'm not that interested, you know. There are ways to just do things that are, you know, like if you have a band like the White Stripes, you know, and everything's happening within, people are thinking it's successful, you go out and you make albums and you play the biggest arena you can possibly sell, as many tickets as you possibly can, and you tour the places you should go, Germany, America, Australia. You do that. I've never done that. You know, White Stripes, we would go to Eastern Europe, South America, and go on tour and lose money on tour and play small theaters of 500 people instead of 10,000 people. I've always done that. I got to go where the show makes sense, where I need to make something happen, rather than to make the most money and sell the most tickets and do the right thing commercially. And you're not supposed to, when you have a band like that, start another band. You know, start another band and produce 45s. You know, I'm supposed to produce a big record by Will.i.am or something like that. You know, I'm not supposed to produce some 45, some punk band no one's ever going to care about. You know, but that's what I'm saying, where the business side of it doesn't really make sense to me. And that's maybe what keeps me going, is those mistakes, the wrong way of doing business is the right way to do art. You know.
But do you ever have time for a vacation?
I haven't taken very many in my life. I think I've taken about 3 or 4 in my life. They've been short. They've been pretty short. You know, in my 20s, for example, I never had any desire. Like, I never had any desire to go to a party with people. I never had a desire to do drugs. I never had a desire to go on vacations. I just didn't have any desire for it. And it wasn't.
It's all about music?
I think when you give yourself away, if you actually, you know, there's some people who would say, like, I'm an artist. Like, they'd be at a party sipping champagne and tell other people I'm an artist, you know. If you're going to say that word, if you're really going to talk about art like that, I mean, you really need to have a responsibility to the art, I think. It's a dangerous thing to say out loud, I'm an artist. It's like saying I'm in love, you know. You better mean it if you're going to say it. So I feel a responsibility to the art and the music that I've given myself away a long time ago. That's what I do. That's what consumes me 24 hours a day. I can have a house, and I can have a car, and I can have children, and I can go out to eat, and I can do all that stuff too. But it's all second and third place to what I've already given myself over to. You know, it's like you can be friends with a priest, and you can be friends with him and go out and get a beer, but you're not going to be the number one thing in his life. You shouldn't be. You know, God should be, and the same thing with as a priest would dedicate himself to that. An artist should dedicate himself to art.
It's passion.
Yeah, it is. You can't help yourself. That's the big difference. And some people can't help themselves. Some people force themselves to do it. Some people win the lottery and get lucky and get people like what they put out there. You know, I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of all of that for me. I don't know, but I just know I can't help myself.
Being an artist, it's more than just music, I think. Also, design concept is important to you.
Yes.
Like, White Stripes was red, black, and white. And now it's blue, I think.
Yeah. It is. It comes from the tools. You know, I like to exemplify what the tools are doing. When Third Man Records comes from my upholstery shop, everything was yellow, black, and white. All my hand tools and my sewing machine and all that were yellow, black, and white. And so the whole place was. So Third Man Records became that too, like tools. And I'm working on this album. I had an old public school amplifier that was baby blue from the 50s in America, and a baby blue, icy blue Telecaster, and a guitar I'd never played before. So those became the colors of the whole scenario, this icy blue.
How important are these design concepts to you in your work?
I don't like when I go and see a show and there's just green lights put on people or blue lights because it looks cool, you know. That just looks cool, or it doesn't have any meaning behind it. That kind of hurts my feelings as an appreciator of music or something like that, or art. I want it to mean something. I want there to be a reason for it, you know. So even if it's a very simplistic reason, I still have to have a reason why I'm presenting that.
So what was the reason behind the black, red, and white from the White Stripes?
That came from a peppermint candy. We painted the peppermint candy on Meg's bass drum, and because I said you were playing like a little girl, so we should paint peppermint candy on bass drum. And I had a red guitar at the time when we first started the band, and I remembered a moment when I was a cook. I was cooking in like a wood-burning oven, and I was bored. There was nothing going on, and I took some peppermint candies and I threw them by the fire. And by the fire, this black ooze just comes out of peppermint candies. It just turns like black molten lava pours out of peppermint candies. I don't think a lot of people have seen that happen. But that to me, those three colors, the red and white and the black oozing out of it, that became what represented the White Stripes to me.
After all these things you've done, do you already know what's next?
No, I don't. I
No?
don't. I don't like to plan too far ahead, you know. And then you fall prey to some kind of order someone set up, and then it ends up falling apart. And we don't decide who's going to play on this tour like until the morning of the show, if it's going to be the girls or the boys. If I told them last week, tonight, you know, the girls are playing. If I told them last week, people would have time to prepare, and they would do all sort of thinking about it, or they plan what they're going to do and what days on tour and all that. I don't want that kind of energy. I don't think we should have that kind of energy. We should always not be knowing what's going to happen, just like I don't know either. I'm a victim of it too, so I like that. I think the whole family of musicians we have there seem to be getting something out of it too.
But there is going to be something next after Jack White solo.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And the White Stripes coming back together?
No. No, I don't think that could ever happen. It's all done. But the Lord works in mysterious ways, so there'll probably be something better come out of me one day. I hope so. I got nothing better to do.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.